Hey everybody, what's up? This is Tiffany with another episode of Meet the Trainers. And today I would love to introduce you or reintroduce you to Mr. Hany Mahmoud. Hany is back for I think this is your second time teaching at TacCon, Hany, if I'm not
my
mistaken.
my second time teaching, uh, in a row with like a 7-year gap.
Yeah, he took a
So all
hiatus.
told, it's probably my fifth.
Nice. Well, welcome back again. And for those who haven't had a chance to meet you yet, please tell everybody who you are.
Well, I can repeat my name, Hany Mahmoud, but the thing is that Tiffany actually pronounces it right. So it's usually I usually have to do it because it's a fix. Um, I My main job is in law enforcement, and that's what I've been doing for. I always lose track, so I actually wrote it down because I'm starting to approach those years.
Long
I
time.
think I just finished my 23rd year. I started in spring of '99, so yeah, I think we're at 23 done, 23 down. During that time, I've done lots of law enforcement things, but the most important of them, in this case, is instructing. And so I was my department's baby instructor, new instructor, main instructor, throughout the years. And I was our agency's, training coordinator and instructor and so on for probably the last 7 years of my time there. And then I actually took a big jump and decided I no longer wanted to admin anybody ever again. And I did 5.5 years at the academy. So I did 5.5 years of nothing but firearms instruction, be it for cadets who need the info to graduate, or for in-service officers who need a cert of some kind, like they need a patrol rifle certification or something like that, or oftentimes remedial. And I did that for 5.5 years, and that has now come to a close. And it looks like I will now, at my tender age, will be going back to the street.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your long years of service. And thank you for bringing your expertise to TacCon. And on that note, this year you're doing something a little bit different. Your block is called Success with Backup Guns. Did I get that right?
Yeah, I call it that, or the lost art of the backup gun, or
The lost
it's like an
art
Indiana
of the
Jones movie. It
backup
probably
gun.
has multiple titles.
I love that because I mean, everybody knows that if you want to wear a backup gun, all you got to do is get a little teeny tiny gun and slap it on your ankle, and that's all it takes, right? You're all
That's
done.
it. Mm-hmm.
or they could go to your class and you can teach us a little bit more. Tell us what we can expect in your backup guns instruction block.
What I'm going to do is so that there's no death by PowerPoint. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No, we don't want that. there's a lot wrong with that.
I'm basically going to do, lecture and demoing, and then everybody shoots, and then a little bit of lecture and some more and shooting and so on. So everybody kind of stays fresh. But I think the reason I was drawn to it is like, I started in the late 90s, and I noticed that, as my career started, less and less people that I knew carried a backup gun. And I attribute it to, going to higher capacity firearms. So in the old days, the issue was after 6, I'm going to run out. If I'm running a 1911, well, after 8 or so, I'm going to run out. And so a big part of it that people always kept in their mind was, to use the old expression, a New York reload, unless you were from Chicago or unless you were from Miami, it had a different name. But the idea was that, most revolver shooters, their reload is somewhere, if they were good, on a law enforcement level, they were probably in like that 6-second range, maybe 5. Now there are guys that can obviously do it quicker, but within that amount of time, it was generally much quicker to draw another gun. And as we went to be at 9 or 40 or whatever the agency wanted to do, everybody pretty much had 13 rounds to 18 rounds, depending on the platform. And then I think the wisdom of why you should carry a backup gun kind of went away. And as those older instructors retired, nobody stressed it anymore. And the thing is for me, and how I was taught, how my brain works and things like that, to me, the idea of a fast reload isn't really number one. I'm not sure it's even number 2 on the list. It's on the list, but it's not number 1 or 2. To me, the most important part is that it's a complete separate bullet launching system. And it's not a matter of running out. It's not a matter of it's if you have a big stoppage, and a big stoppage can be anything. A big stoppage can be a malfunction that is going to take 2 hands and some elbow grease to clear. It could be maybe it could be cleared in 5 or 6 seconds, but I don't know that. What I do know is that it is not going to start shooting again in the next 2 to 3 seconds. And sometimes it is mechanical, and sometimes it's ammunition, and sometimes it's lots of things. So to me, like, number 1 was always, it's a complete separate system. And I, the logic of it, I didn't invent it, but one can go back, probably 170 years or so, and in hunting dangerous game, the actions on those rifles, they were double barreled for a reason, but the lock work was basically, there were 2 separate sets of lock work with 2 triggers, and it was basically 2 rifles in one stock, that no matter what happened on the one side, you had the other side that operated completely independently of it. And that makes a lot of sense to me. I think it crosses over logically to the endeavor of human violence. So
yeah, it's like everybody has a spare tire in their car.
Yeah, everybody has a spare tire in their car, but a spare gun seems like a bad idea for some reason. So to me, it's just that it's. Go ahead.
Well, I'm sorry. I was just going to say, it's funny hearing you describe this. I can relate, because I always in the beginning thought about a second gun as serving exactly that purpose that you said, for in case you run out of ammo. But I never was more thankful for my second gun than one time in force on force training, when I wound up pinned against the wall and I couldn't get to my gun. And so I was just so glad I had another access point, and I didn't have to worry about fighting my way to the one gun. I had another option, and I left that situation thinking to myself, goodness gracious, there's so much more to this than just having more ammo. So
I agree. And probably like second on the list is that it's accessible. 2 things, either with the other hand, because this one's not working so well, or it's accessible from a body position that this hand may be working perfectly, but it can't get to it. So, and there's ways that you carry that. Yeah, if I really contorted, could I get to it with my opposite hand? Yeah, I could, but it's so much easier when you can draw from the other side. And it works, on belt, it works on pocket, it works on ankle, it works on lots of different ways. But to me, the whole idea of it being accessible, if I'm otherwise tied up.
So that brings me to another question I was going to ask about your class. Do you have any, preferences or prohibitions as far as where people are wearing their backup gun for purposes of your class?
Okay, well, there's a generalized prohibition, which is if it's one I haven't thought of in advance and I don't think it's a good idea on the line, it's going to be a no.
Sure.
If you're as old as I am and you know, a real like student of this stuff, you know, there's a famous Chick Gaylord holster that snapped to your shirt tails. And the most easy way to draw it is through your fly. You know, people have invented a lot of stuff. I'd probably say no to. I'd put I'd put gloves on and examine it.
Yeah, let's hold off on that one
because I've only seen pictures of it. But it was kind of cool invention. It was meant for like, you know, if you're a narc and you're probably not going to get patted down right there. Mm-hmm, and that's where, and it clipped to your shirt tail. So, you know, unless somebody pulls something like that, my only concern is shoulder holsters. Mm-hmm. And that I'll do on a case-by-case basis because it really depends. It depends on the holster, and it can be done safely if they can do it right, if I know they can do it right, and where I can put them on the line. Awesome. But by and large, the other rules apply, which is it safe? Is it rigid? You know, do you not have to poke the weapon into your abdomen to get the muzzle into the holster to reholster? Things like that.
Only a bad thing. Yeah. Okay. All right.
And I'll basically bring examples of what's worked for me and what I've tried and what works and what doesn't work for me, but it's still viable. And by the way, at least on day one, Brian Eastridge will be on the line with me. So, awesome. So people will get a double dose of something.
Pearls of wisdom.
There you go.
So folks, if you are interested, and again, we still got space in both of Hany's blocks. So if hopefully you realized that earlier I was being facetious when I said, all you got to do is slap it on your ankle. No, there's a lot more to it than that. So if you've been thinking about a backup gun, but you haven't really trained with it, or you hadn't really given it much thought before now, and maybe after hearing this, you're going, or if you want to vet your equipment for your backup gun, all perfectly fine reasons to attend Hany's block. If you'd like to do that, then you need to show up at, let's see, Bay 4 at 10 o'clock on Friday morning. That's the first offering of backup guns with Hany Mahmoud. And then there's a repeat of it at 1:45 on Sunday afternoon. All right, Hany, thank you so much. Cannot wait to see you in Dallas, my friend.
It is my pleasure. Thank you very much, Tiffany.